Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising trilogy, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again. Each book is a compilation of features about cruisers and cruise and travel personalities from around the world. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul. This week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, I am delighted to welcome Colin Stewart and Nick Jackson, co-creators of the new brand Cruise with Colin and Nick, comprised of a YouTube channel, Instagram platform, and Facebook group. As some of you know, Cruising's Young and Restless has been a recurring section in the Joy of Cruising books, taking a look at passionate cruisers of today who will be cruise community leaders of tomorrow. Some of you may know and follow Nick, aka Future Cruise Director. I featured Nick in my latest book, The Joy of Cruising Again, and he was on the podcast in September, Travel with Nick, Cruising's Young and Restless, for his own YouTube channel. When interviewing Nick for The Joy of Cruising Again, he mentioned that he and another aspiring cruise director, Colin, were partnering to launch Cruise with Colin and Nick, a YouTube channel that chronicles their journey towards a mutual goal. I introduced you to Nick a few months back, a high school student, track star, and part-time employee at the Carnival Pier at the Port of Galveston. But I will ask him to reintroduce himself in a minute. This is my first time meeting Colin, although we have interacted on social media, and I mentioned him in Nick's feature. Colin is a college student at Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's good to get to know more about him. It is my pleasure to chat with Colin and Nick and learn what they are doing together and separately to further their aim to be a cruise director and to share their story with the listeners of the Joy of Cruising podcast. Welcome, Colin and Nick, to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So how are you both doing?
Doing great.
I'm not doing too bad myself. Spring break's going good. About to head off to Vegas soon, and can't complain. Live, doing well. We're breathing air, and that's no complaints there.
And I understand you're going out to Vegas, Colin, to with your school's basketball team, right?
Yes, sir. I go to Grand Canyon University. I'm a freshman this year.
So before we talk about Cruise with Colin and Nick, tell our listeners about yourselves. Where you're from, how'd you meet, where you live, background, anything you would like to share. So Nick, why don't you go first, since we've kind of met you and you actually turned me on to Cruise with Colin and Nick.
Yeah, so my name's Nick J. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I run the Travel with Nick YouTube channels and social pages. And me and Colin, we met actually, I believe it was through the comment section of one of my videos, or through one of the comment sections
through Josh Holcomb.
Josh Holcomb, that's what it was. Yeah, I believe I had made a comment, and then Colin responded to that comment, and then from there, the rest is pretty much history.
My name is Colin Stewart. I'm all the way from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I was originally born in Raleigh, North Carolina. Moved when I was about 6 back to where my parents are from, Minnesota. I've always been a sports lover fan, always been a fan of cruising ever since I went on my first cruise when I was 12. I'm currently 19 years old, a freshman, currently living out in Arizona. I don't have any plans to really go back to Minnesota yet. And yeah, I run some travel accounts, and Nick and I met through a mutual kind of friend now. And yeah, like Nick said, the rest is history.
When and what motivated you to create Cruise with Colin and Nick?
I think it was just kind of our common passion, number one, for cruising, but also when we figured out that we both wanted to be cruise directors, and we were like, hey, let's kind of stick together. And I think a good way to stay in contact and stick together, and not only do that, but to kind of put our names out there, our names in the hat for people who want to be cruise directors. Let's just create an account together and let that grow and make it involve around cruising and with the facts that we want to be cruise directors one day.
So how did you guys find out about your common goal to be a cruise director?
I'll go on that one first. So, if I remember correctly, one of my buddies, Josh Holcomb, he's known him forever. I saw him in Nick in the comment section. I saw him on the live streams quite a few times. I was like, oh, this kid, I was like, wonder who he is. And I kind of saw that he did a little bit of travel videos. And I commented, I think I was some sarcastic comment about like some cruise ship. And then it kind of got us connected to cruise directing. And this was before I made my Instagram kind of my business account necessarily and gone mainstream with cruising. My how do I put it? My future cruise director, quote unquote, status took off probably maybe 2020, 2021, right after the pandemic, because I went on 8 cruises within a year. That's when things really got to start get popular. And we met in probably, what would you say, Nick? It was like mid 2020.
Yeah, I think it was like March, May-ish, 2020, something like that.
Yeah, and threw him a DM, and then we just started talking casually. And if I remember correctly, I think it was, I don't know, it was one of us two that came up with the idea of saying, hey, what about we create a travel account together where we can post our pictures and yeah, and kind of show our passion and kind of share a same fan base in a way. I know at least for me recently, I know for Nick, we've actually started to get recognized in public recently, which is always the most humbling experience ever, especially meeting some fans that we have, supporters. They mean the world to me. I met one 2 days ago in Scottsdale when I was just out for some dinner with some friends, and it's always so great to see that your hard work is paying off, and especially when we share the same passion. And I know at least whenever I meet people, especially on cruise ships, I always carry around our Cruise with Colin and Nick business cards because not only does it plug me, but also plugs Nick for them to follow him as well. And it's kind of a double, kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Now, I know that when I first met Nick and wrote about Nick, he aspired specifically to be a Carnival cruise director. Has that changed, Nick?
No, still the exact same. Yeah.
Okay. So, Colin, when you and Nick got together, was your mind set on Carnival, or did you just want to be a cruise director?
So I've only cruised on Carnival. I know Nick, he's gone on the Lower Oasis of the Seas twice, at least on Royal. This is my only cruise line currently. I am planning for my 21st to probably go on Virgin Voyages because it's adults only. And I think it'd be fun to adventure out to another cruise line. I've recently hit Platinum on Carnival as well. So I told myself once I hit Platinum, I'll adventure to some other cruise lines, but I intend on staying with Carnival and only Carnival. I just realized we don't have video on here, but yeah, Carnival's always been a passion for me, especially being able to work with some of the higher ups in the company, such as Chris Nelson, Mike Pack, the most famous probably cruise director out there, John Heald, Lee Mason, Kendall Fire. I've come, especially Cookie, Jonathan Adams, even though he's recently left the company to pursue other careers for his choice. And it's just been a really amazing experience within Carnival. And I don't know what other cruise line I'd ever want to work for.
Okay. Well, I am, based on my research, I can't tell you from experience, but based on my research, you're going to love Virgin. I will be able to talk about it from experience pretty soon. That's my next cruise. I'm counting the days. And I have a show scheduled. I can't remember the date for when I get back. A podcast, sharing all my reflections on Virgin. But everything I hear is wonderful. So let's talk about cruising. First, Nick, if I'm not mistaken, you not long ago got off of Carnival Jubilee, right?
Yes, a couple weeks ago.
So that's that's their newest ship.
The newest, biggest fun ship out there. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell us all about that amazing. Now, let me just interject. I've been on Carnival Mardi Gras.
Yes.
So I got a taste of that class. What's the class called again?
The XL class.
The XL class.
Yes, sir.
And but I haven't been back. I guess they added, since I've been on, they added Celebration.
Celebration, and then Jubilee. They're actually coming out with another one in a couple years as well, which I'm pretty excited about.
So tell us about Jubilee.
Yeah, no, Jubilee, it was absolutely amazing. The ship, I mean, Carnival absolutely killed it. There is literally nothing wrong with the ship. Like there was honestly no flaws that I could really find. It was just the perfect ship. And Jubilee is it's such a big like milestone for Galveston because Galveston has never had a brand new ship to home port like straight out of Galveston. It's always been to where the ship would start off in Miami and then it would come to Galveston, or maybe it would go to Port Canaveral and then come down. But it started off in Galveston, and it just created a lot of big festivities that were super cool to be a part of, like the inaugural ceremonies and stuff like that. I was super happy to be able to work those as well. But nonetheless, the cruise was amazing. The staff, they were top notch as always. In the food, there were so many new food options that honestly, it might be a little bit hard to go back to some of the older, smaller ships. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed the cruise. It was awesome.
Now, was that your first time on the XL class? Had you been on either Celebration or Mardi Gras?
No, I've actually never been on any of the other ones. This was my first time.
Did you get a chance to meet the cruise director or interact with any of the entertainment staff? I know that you tend to do that.
Yeah. So Kendall Fire was our cruise director, and I had actually sailed with her on the Vista back in, I think it was May 2022. And so I was up at the sail away party, and we had like locked eye contact for a second, and she paused what I was doing, and she was like, "Hey." Like while we were doing the sail away party, it was super cool. So she had remembered me, and I got a few times to interact with her and just kind of sit down and talk for a little bit. But yeah, no, she was absolutely amazing. If you guys ever get a chance to sail with Kindle Fire, make sure you do so. Some of the other crew staff like Shy and Gabby, both of them, one of them is about to become a cruise director, and the other one has covered for a little bit on a ship. But I got a chance to kind of chat with those people for a little bit. And of course, the other entertainment team, they were amazing as well.
Colin, correct me if I'm wrong. Before that cruise, you guys got to cruise together for the first time, right?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
So that was on what?
The Carnival Breeze, which I've been. I know you, Nick. Was that your fourth time on that ship?
I think it was the third.
I know I've been on that ship. I think we're looking at 7 times now, a handful of times. I know that ship like the back of my head. I could walk around with my eyes shut and find my way around.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That was your first time meeting, right?
Yes, sir.
Meeting in person.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So tell me all about that cruise.
So originally we had previous times of when we like kind of saw each other, if you know what I mean. Nick would go wave from the pier, and most recently then I think it was a 2021 cruise. I think it was the June one that he was on Vista when he was with Kendall, and then I was on Breeze. We were literally on 2 opposite sailings, but we could see each other, so that was fun. And then originally I was supposed to actually surprise Nick, but that kind of some events happened where I kind of leaked some information by accident, what to say. But I intend to do it in the future. So Nick has anticipation of that. Just one of these days I'll randomly pop on a ship when he's on it. But it was one of the most fun experiences of my life. I can tell you a 4-day cruise did not do it justice. And when we first met, it felt like we already knew each other, which I mean, we did, but it felt like we knew each other our whole entire lives. And like, you've heard of like when, I don't know, a long distance relationship meets or like a long distance friendship meets and things are a little bit awkward at first. It wasn't like that one bit. It felt like we were like brothers and we just knew each other already. We knew all the inside jokes because I mean, we FaceTime every now and then. Or I mean, what? You say we call twice a week probably, Nick?
Yeah. Something like that.
And it was just one of the most fun experiences ever, just doing everything with him. He was still with his family cruise. For me, the only reason I really went on the cruise was just to meet Nick. And I was with my grandpa, and we kind of were more laid back that cruise, especially since we went on the 15-day cruise on the Carnival Venezia on the transatlantic. So we learned how to kind of not be on go time like sometimes some people are with cruising. So it was kind of nice to actually have a laid back cruise as well. But it was meeting his family and everybody. It was one of the best. It was one of the best weeks of my life.
But you guys had been interacting, working together well before the Breeze, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well before about 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Everybody's always shocked whenever they say, "Wait, who's Nick on your Instagram account?" And I am always like, "Oh, he's my friend from Texas." And they're like, "Oh, how'd you meet?" I was like, "We haven't met yet." And they're like, "How have?"
Yeah, we haven't
everybody
met.
is always shocked, and they're always like, "How have you not met yet?" Like, You guys are that close, but you guys have never met each other. And I'm like, no. And everybody at my school, like, because everybody knows my thing is cruising at school, at least at my high school. Most people, I'm referred to the cruise director guy a lot at college now, but a lot of people are like, you guys haven't met? That's wild because everybody just assumes we have. But
Hmm.
now we can
Hmm.
say we did.
And like Colin said, like when we did meet, it was just like it was unusually casual. It was just like we had been friends the whole entire time. Like I've never had like a first time meeting somebody where it was that casual where we were just like, "What's up?" Like like normally it's just like I don't know. It just like you said, it wasn't awkward at all. It was just like we had known each other for forever.
So, how soon after you both boarded, did you guys run into each other? Well, I assume you had kind of planned, let's meet such and such. I mean, you didn't just kind of run into each other.
No, we didn't run into
Yeah.
each other. We were planning to meet at the sail away party, but there was a time when I think I was standing in line for a guy's burger and I had looked up and I think I saw Colin like walking across deck 12 or something like that on the Lido deck. And I called him and I was like, "Are you right here right now?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm right there." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna just wait until the sail away party to actually meet you." But I see you right now. It was kind of cool. But
Now, two things you caught my ear, and I didn't want to interrupt, but let me back up. So you mentioned Texas, and you mentioned the Galveston Pier. Last time I talked to you, Nick, you were working there. You still working there?
yes, sir. Still working there, still going strong, and still enjoying it.
Still enjoying it.
Yes,
Good,
sir.
good, good. Colin, what you said caught my ear about the Carnival Venezia. Two reasons. First of all, I'm kind of intrigued by Venezia because it's a new ship. From what I can tell, I've never been on it, but from what I can tell, it's a beautiful new ship. But it's a little atypical for Carnival because I believe it was originally built. Correct me if I'm wrong. For Costa, right?
Yes,
So,
sir.
so talk a little bit about the Venezia. But the other thing that you said that caught my attention was I think you said it was a transatlantic.
Yes, sir. So,
The reason I'm particularly interested, well, I've always been interested in transatlantics, but I'm particularly interested in transatlantics right now because the Virgin Voyages cruise that I said is coming up. I think we got what 5 weeks. It's a transatlantic. So it's my first transatlantic. So talk about a little bit about your experience on Venezia, its highlights, and was that your first transatlantic?
yes. The
Yeah, talk about transatlantics. Give me something to get excited about.
So the Carnival Venezia, that was a brand new ship. It was the first sailing, and I when it first came out on the schedule, it was I graduated May, I think it was like 26th, 25th, and the cruise was the 28th. And literally, basically about 10 hours after I graduated high school, I hopped on a plane ride all the way going to Barcelona. From Barcelona to New York, we stopped in Gibraltar, a few places in Portugal. Gibraltar is technically a province of the UK. So technically now I can say I've been to the United Kingdom. And a lot of places in Spain as well. I don't remember every place we stopped at, but then we stopped in not Amber Cove. It's Nick, help me out here. It's in Canada.
In Canada. Oh, I know Halifax.
Yeah, Halifax. We stopped in Halifax as well. But it's probably, no offense, Nick, but it's probably one of the best cruises of my life next to Nick's. 'Cause I had already known the entertainment staff. I got to meet Christine Duffy, the CEO of Carnival. I got to hang out with Mike Pack for a little bit. I got to meet the vice president of entertainment, Chris Nelson. I got to basically hang out with kind of what feels like my crew member best friends. There's only about two members on the entertainment staff that I didn't previously sail with. And the second I saw all of them, they all went nuts because they already knew I was coming somehow. Apparently, they got an email through Carnival that I was showing up and to be on the lookout for me. I don't know how that stuff works entirely, but how they know when I'm coming, but it's probably through John Heald, I'd assume. But I got to see John as well. And I got to hang out with a lot of the entertainment staff. We went to dinner a few times together, and we really just got to bond on that cruise. And transatlantic kind of gives you some time to kick back and appreciate cruising. And especially as within my younger self, I always felt like I had to be go, 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 trying to do everything within 7 days. But that 15 days really allows you to sit back and relax and not feel like you have to do everything. Where it's like, oh, I feel like I have to go to the dining room because there's only 3 days left on the cruise and I have 2 days left if I don't. Where we probably ate in the dining room, I'd probably say 60 to 70% of the time. But there's also a lot of times where we had just gotten off in port and we were like, we want to lay back a little bit. But it really gives you some time to reflect on cruising itself. And the seas, you're probably wondering about the seas, I'd assume. The seas weren't too choppy. They were just really choppy when we got towards Canada. We actually had a medical emergency that we had. Some guy's appendix ruptured, and it was so foggy for probably about 2 to 3 days, where the foghorn was going off every 2 minutes. And let me tell you, I nearly crapped my pants when I was on the Serenity deck when the horn went off when I wasn't expecting it. But you couldn't see if you're standing on Serenity deck, if you know about Carnival ships, you couldn't even see the whale tail. That's how foggy it was at certain points in time. And I went on the Behind the Fun tour, and unfortunately we weren't able to make it to the bridge because it was so foggy. But and then I also got to meet Emerald Bistro as well, the good old Pow guy. I'm sure you know of him. And yeah,
Emerald Lagasse.
or Emerald Gasso. However you
Yeah,
however you say
Lagasse.
it.
Yeah.
Emerald, but no, that cruise, it was one of the best cruises out there. I'm totally gonna take a transatlantic again. I'm actually thinking about doing online school for a semester. It would be the 2025 Mardi Gras when she goes over to get her dry dock done. She has a 15-day cruise going over from Port Canaveral to Barcelona, and then I would backpack, or I just kind of do whatever I want in Europe for a few days. It's about 16 days that they're over there, and then I take the cruise back to Port Canaveral. And I think Nick can probably attest to this. One of the one of the best things about connecting with so many crew members is we get to meet so many people from around the world. I know that I can put anything out on Facebook saying, "Hey, guys, I'm coming to Spain, be in Barcelona for a few days. Does any crew member have a place for me to stay?" And they take you in like family. That's one of the best things out there about trying to become a cruise director. And right now, I'm actually learning Indonesian, so I can speak to the crew members on there. Which that's one thing also that I started learning on my transatlantic cruise through my room steward Didi. So yeah, that was one of the best cruises, and I can't wait for you to go on a transatlantic.
Now you mentioned Mike Pack. Was he the cruise director, or is he above that now?
So Mike Pack is above cruise director. I had him in 2017 Vista and 2018 Horizon. He used to be the cruise director, but now he has a beautiful baby girl now. Or wait, hold on. He has a beautiful baby that's a girl now, and and he now has a wife. So now he sat back into a new role that they actually put out. I believe it was honestly 2019-ish, give or take. They put that rollout 2020, where there's the head fleet cruise directors. Aaron is one of them. Chris, his stage name is Donkey, and then Mike Pack as well. They go around basically and they train Fun Squad, they train cruise directors. They basically are making sure that everybody's up to date with everything, and they kind of make sure they help roll out the new shows, such as Family Feud is one of them. They worked on that project. I believe that was Aaron that worked on that project. She just got promoted to fleet cruise director, which I know she's going to do an amazing job at. But yeah, that's one of my goals as well, to become a fleet cruise director one of these days once I become kind of too old to be a cruise director or whatnot, because it does take a toll on your body and mental health a lot. But you can only do it for so long. So
I wanted to ask about Mike Pack because I'll refer to him in a minute when I talk about Nick's first cruise.
Yep.
But having just getting to meet you, tell us about, Colin, your first cruise. What was the ship? When was it? What were your initial impressions?
So my first cruise, it was a few years after my parents had got divorced. We hadn't gone on like any vacation since. And my mom wanted to go on a cruise, so we took my grandparents with us, Jim and Sherry, and we went on our first cruise. It was on the Carnival Sunshine out of Port Canaveral. I believe it was a 5 or 6 day cruise.
Now, how old were you?
I believe I was 12 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 12, because I always say I've wanted to become a cruise director since I was 12. It It was March 13th, 2016. And I had Chris, his name is Donkey, Chris Hauser. I had him as my first cruise director. I didn't talk to him once when I was on there. However, I did go to his Q&A, and that's when I was like, hey, Grandpa, that guy seems cool. I want to do what he wants to do. And all my parents thought they thought it was a phase. My dad wasn't really accepting of me wanting to become a cruise director until probably about 2021, when I started kind of to not blow up with it necessarily, but gain some popularity in it. And he actually saw my passion for it and me pursuing goals to.
When you started getting recognized in stores.
There you go. Yeah. I think he was with me when I got recognized in Scottsdale during Welcome Week, and he even was like, "Hold up, wait a minute." Okay. He went on I managed to drag him on a cruise with me in 2021 in October, where I actually got to cruise with Aaron as well, who's now the fleet cruise director. So I've had the opportunity to cruise underneath every single one of the head fleet cruise directors. And I know that's one thing that I've been able to say, where I want my future boss to be somebody who I cruise with as a guest one day. And now I can kind of say that my future bosses one day will be the people who I've sailed with before. But funny story. So I am John Heald, brand ambassador of Carnival, best cruise director out there by far. I started reaching out to him probably about 2019, and he has become one of the best mentors for me ever since. He's always trying to help me pursue my career. If I ever need anything, I can contact him. And he's always kind of hooking me up with certain people, being able to talk with certain people, trying to basically improve my career goals. And it's funny. So my parents they got married, I think it was 2002. I was born in 2004. And they went on a honeymoon cruise. And they actually had John Heald as their cruise director. And my mom remembers talking to him. And John Heald remembers talking to her. And my family wasn't a big cruise family. My mom had only gone on one cruise up until my first cruise, and that was with my father. And now to circle back and have John Heald be one of my closest mentors and somebody who I can go and talk to about anything near and deep, give him a ring, it's been one of the best things ever. And it shows how, I don't know if you're religious, Paul, but to me, it shows how God comes around in circles, and within it being such a small world out there, but you somehow get reconnected to somebody time and time after again.
One more thing, Colin. Did you get hooked right away?
Oh, instantly. It's like a dopamine effect every single time you go on a cruise. The second that you take a cruise, you never want to take another vacation again, because then you feel like you're wasting a cruise.
I figured the answer was yes. Most people answer yes, although
It's like sugar.
there's a few, even big time influencers who their first cruise didn't do it for them. So, but most people, yeah, they get hooked the first time. Now, Nick, I remember you telling me about your first cruise. You had one of the funniest lines in The Joy of Cruising Again. I guess you said you were 8 or 9.
Yeah, I was 8 years old.
8 years old, and someone in your family mentioned that you all were going on a Carnival cruise, and you thought it was by Carnival, you thought it was a Ferris wheel on top of a barge or something like that. But say something about that cruise. I mentioned Mike Pack earlier.
Yes, sir.
He was the cruise director, right?
Yes, sir. He was our cruise director.
And there's such a what's the right word? What word? I'll say cute, cute little photo of little 8-year-old Nick dressed in. I don't know if you had on a tux, but you had a suit on.
Yeah.
And next to Mike Pack, and I just thought that was funny. So talk about that.
Yeah, so my very first cruise, I didn't know what to expect, and to be honest, I really don't remember too incredibly much about it. But what I do remember is that I was amazed about just the whole cruise experience, and that where we were was on a ship and not on land somewhere, because the ship it didn't even feel like you were on a ship, or as most cruise ships don't. As most cruise ships don't. But it was just some of the moments were really memorable. And like I said, one of the memories that stuck out to me the most was when I had an interaction on the last night of the cruise with Mike Pack, our cruise director. And me personally, I didn't really know who he was even till like way after the cruise. But I think it was some party that they were having in the promenade, and he came up to me and he wanted me to dance, and I didn't want to dance because I was pretty shy at the time. And he said if I did dance, he would give me a free ice cream, not knowing that the ice cream party. But I ended up dancing, and I didn't end up getting my free ice cream. But after the cruise was over, I was like, who was this guy that was supposed to give me my free ice cream? Because I want my free ice cream. So yeah, but that was a really great cruise from what I can remember, and we just continued cruising ever since.
And I know in your subsequent cruises, each time you cruised, somehow you met the cruise director. Although you didn't have, obviously when you were 8, you didn't form the plan to be a cruise director. I guess that was until what, your 3rd or 4th cruise you met.
Yes, sir. It was I think it was my 4th cruise out, and we had a cruise director. His name was Orlando Magic. I ended up leaving the brand for a couple years, and then now I think he's with Margaritaville. But yeah, no, he was a really, really great cruise director. Super high energy, even to he was so high energy. I was able to notice him at such a young age, and I was like, hey, this is something that I think I might want to do in the future. But yeah, no, he just left a lasting impact on me for sure.
So let's talk about the future. What do each of you have booked? Start with you, Nick.
Yeah, so right now I have a cruise on the Carnival Panorama booked for this upcoming June. It's heading out to the Mexican Riviera, 6 nights, and I believe we have an overnight in Cabo, and then after that we'll go to Ensenada. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And then
have you been on Panorama?
I have not. This is actually my first time cruising on any cruise out of not out of Galveston.
Okay. Yeah. So where'd you say it was leaving from?
It's leaving from Long Beach, California.
Oh, okay. So you got to fly.
Yeah, first time flying in a long.
Well, I guess you'd have to fly anywhere that doesn't leave out of Galveston, right? I guess your choices are only Florida and Texas. New York,
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Well, New Orleans.
Yeah, it's about a 5-hour drive for us.
Or
oh, okay. So I guess I guess you could drive there.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else booked?
As of now, no. I am hoping to hopefully squeeze in one more cruise after Panorama. But as of now, I think I just have ship visits scheduled. And that's where I get to go on the ship for a day. It's kind of a perk that I get with my job.
And that's now those ship visits. That's related to your working at the pier in Galveston.
Yes, sir.
So that's not just Carnival ships, right?
Well, actually, it is just for Carnival. If you have that Carnival name tag, even the people that work on the ships, you're able to do ship visits on the different ships around the fleet, which is pretty cool.
Yes, okay. So now there's not that many that come to Galveston, right?
It's I believe it's about 3 ships right now, but they're looking to bring in a 4th ship to Galveston at the end of the year.
Now I know that you went on a couple of Royal ships.
Yes, sir.
Any desire? I know you still strongly desire to become a Carnival cruise director, but any desire to check out any other lines anytime soon?
For sure, yeah. MSC, they're coming to Galveston soon, so I definitely want to try them out. Royal, I'm definitely not sleeping on them. We are taking a little bit of a break from them, but I definitely do want to go on one of the smaller Royal ships to kind of experience that as well. Norwegian, would love to try them out. And then Margaritaville, of course. I think that would be a pretty interesting experience.
Yeah, Margaritaville's coming out with a new one.
Yeah, is it out of Tampa?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay.
All that ship.
Yeah, I'd love to try that.
I know when you were on last time, I asked you what was on your bucket list. I'm sure, like mine, well, maybe not, but my bucket list is dynamic. It's constantly changing because I constantly host individuals like yourself who, turn me on to things. So I would say there's probably 5 things on my bucket list that weren't on there when I spoke to you last time. So is there anything on your bucket list, anything recent that you've added?
Honestly, it hasn't changed too incredibly much, but I do have a new goal. I mean, it's kind of a goal that I've been having, but now it's more prominent than ever. I definitely want to try and cruise at least once from all of the US home ports and all of the ones in Europe that the cruise ships go out of. I know I've said I wanted to cruise Europe before, but never with like all the home ports. And then I do want to cruise from, if I haven't said it before, San Juan, Puerto Rico. I think that would be a really cool cruise to try out, and a repositioning cruise. That's something I really want to try as well.
So Colin, what do you have booked?
So right now, I actually don't have anything booked currently. With my grandparents and my cousin, they're actually going on Jubilee. They'll hopefully my grandfather Jim, he's met Nick, but hopefully they can ask and request for Nick in the terminal, so my cousin and my grandma can meet Nick. It kind of was just bad timing with school because my spring break is this week. My cousin, he's still a junior in high school, so his spring break is next week. So the dates didn't really work out, and it's kind of been hard to go on cruises during college because I don't really know yet until the current semester what I have that week, and whatnot. And looking at the schedule for next week, I would have easily been able to skip my classes and go. But of course, my education is number one. I have all the time in the world afterwards to go on cruising, but I am currently looking at trying to do semester at sea. So we will see where that takes us. It just it I'm really it really depends on what I'm doing at GCU, trying to pursue some jobs here and some leadership roles. I currently work in athletics, but it's just a matter of I've grown so many relationships at college that I don't want to miss out on an entire semester. But of course, semester at sea is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and they have extended an offer for me to do semester at sea. It's just a matter of how I'll take it or not. Um, and I actually got offered to do the Disney or the My Disney College program, go work at Disney in an internship with them. And I actually ended up denying that as well for a job that I'm currently applying for at GCU. Taking a risk with that because the Disney College program, you can always apply whenever in life. And this one is you can only apply for coming into your sophomore year. But no cruises booked currently. Once I turn 21, I anticipate on going probably on a cruise once a month, just on a 3-4 day cruise, with a few friends that are also 21 because you have to be. The rule is on Carnival is if you're under the age of 21, you have to be accompanied by somebody that's 23 or older. So that's always my grandparents or my original parents and whatnot. But once I turn 21, which will be my junior year, I anticipate on going on probably about a cruise a month out of Long Beach because it's about a 5-hour drive from here. But none currently.
Say some more about semester at sea. I mean, you first talked about maybe taking online classes and just in sailing, but it sounds like semester at sea is a set program or not necessarily.
Yes, sir.
When you say semester at sea, do you mean just take courses online and then sail, or is there a program called semester at sea?
So I am considering taking a semester off and just going on, like, for instance, Carnival cruises. It costs a little bit of
Okay.
cash though, but the semester at sea is an actual program. They go around. It's usually in Greece. They go around the Mediterranean Sea a lot, and the South Africa and those parts, those continents of the world. But that is an actual program within itself where you go and you do online classes and you study on board. I believe it's you take a minor of some sort, which my minor would probably be hospitality because I'm currently doing business management because it's more versatile. And hospitality is more just strictly hotels, nightclubs, restaurants. I'm not into that stuff. I'm into more of the business side of it. But yeah, that is something I'm really considering. It's a hefty amount. It's more than I would be paying for an entire year here at GCU. Currently, I'm paying about, well, without scholarships, I'm paying about 28 here for an entire year. And for one semester and semester at sea, it's if you want to just have 2 people in your cabin with you, it's about 30 grand for one semester.
Okay, I thought it was a formal program. I vaguely remember something about that. My background is higher ed, and I vaguely remember that term, and so I wanted to make sure we're talking about the same thing, and we are. Although I didn't realize it's that expensive.
Yeah. Maybe I'll wait around for Nick to be in college so that we could do semester at sea together one of these days. Maybe throw an idea out there.
Maybe.
So, what's on your bucket list? I mean, one you already said you're going to go on version when you turn 21.
We're talking cruising bucket list, correct?
Yep, yep.
So cruising bucket list, I really want to go to an Alaskan cruise. When I go, I'm looking at maybe doing a NCL cruise because you have the Norwegian Epic and the Norwegian, I forgot the other name of the ship that goes out of there, but it's a beautiful ship. I wouldn't want to be doing a Carnival one probably actually because it tends to the older crowd, even though I don't really. One thing that made me realize about the new cruise I went on with Nick is holy kids on the transatlantic cruise, there was maybe 10 people that were under the age of 18. And one of them was my cousin. Um, but
Yep.
I'm probably going to try out NCL or a Royal Cruise. It gives me a good excuse to try and branch off to the other cruise lines, see what they have in store. I can tell you though, I'll strictly be sticking with Carnival, but to at least work for. And another one is probably going on an Alaskan cruise. And same with, excuse me, Antarctica cruise, not Alaskan cruise. I already said that.
Right,
And
right.
probably Greenland cruise as well. And then I like Nick, I want to try every single cruise line out there. Especially so then when people ask me what cruise line's the best, I can say what my opinion is, and I don't have to be like, well, I heard this and that and whatnot. But and then I'm also looking on going to a Mediterranean cruise, which I kind of already did. That was more a European cruise, but that's where semester at sea might come into play.
Say something about how listeners can follow Cruise with Colin and Nick, as well as travel with Nick on social media and the internet.
You guys can okay, so for upcoming, like for the future of what we're doing, we're planning on restarting our podcast in the future. That's we started our podcast about
2 years.
what was it, about a year ago, 2 years ago, something like that. It did well for a little bit, and then we just kind of stopped because Colin had college coming up, and then of course I was still in school as well, in grade school. So we just kind of held off on that for a while, and we've been working on some new ideas to bring out to you guys in the future. So we're gonna try and start that up again very, very soon. As far as where you guys can follow me at, you guys can follow me on all social medias at Travel with Nick. That's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of the above.
For me, it'll be you can find me on Instagram, Colin Stewart, 2 underscores with it, __. It's pretty easy to find on there. And then same with Facebook. You can look up Colin Stewart, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well. And if you go to our Cruise with Colin and Nick accounts on Instagram, you can click the link in bio or the link that's in our bio. It takes you to our LinkedIn tree, and it'll take you to Nick's Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn account, and it will also take you to my Facebook, LinkedIn account.
Before we let you guys go, a couple of fun cruise questions, and then maybe an oddball question that's not related to cruising. And I'm going to make it hard on you, Nick, because you can't use any responses from your previous appearance on the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Man. I got something for you.
Whoever wants to take this one first, what's your favorite cruise food?
Okay, my favorite cruise food. As of my most recent cruise on the Carnival Jubilee, I've got to say it's Shaq's Big Chicken. That place is absolutely amazing. They've got it for breakfast, they've got it for lunch, they've got it somewhat in the evening, and I can't tell you the amount of times I've eaten there. And then for my my favorite drink, it's good old water for now.
Shaq's Big Chicken is awesome.
I'm gonna have to go with that as well, and probably Guy's Burger.
If I recall, that was Nick's answer last time.
Yep.
Guy's Burger.
That sounds like Nick.
Okay, Colin, what's your most memorable or funniest or most embarrassing cruise or port experience?
I'm gonna answer for 2 of those. So at least on Nick's cruise, I would say when one of the Fun Squad guys came up to me and said, "Hey, do you want to dance?" Yeah, he just reacted when you on the Carnival cruise on the sail away party. It's same at least on every single ship I've been on. They have a dance competition the first day between 3 people, and you get selected. Normally, I probably wouldn't do it. And thing is, I don't know what songs we picked. And the only reason I decided to do it was because Nick was on it, and I was like, "Do it, I'll do it for him." And I dropped down on all 4s on the entire ship and threw it back basically. And for the entire cruise, That's all I got recognized for, which I mean, I got recognized for being like people like knowing me before from previous cruises and whatnot, but I just became just like they just called me cruise director, throw it back basically. And then and on that same cruise was probably when Nick, do you remember the first night on Lido deck when the ladies came up to us?
Yep, I remember. I was
There was a bunch of ladies hitting on us and trying to like flirt with Nick and be on the camera and whatnot. And then besides the Nick cruise, I would probably say it would be just transatlantic cruise on the Venezia, being with Mark Q and all of the entertainment staff on there that I already knew. That was probably one of my most memorable cruises as well, just because I got to spend so much time with them and entertainment staff when normally they're go, go, go on a cruise, but on a transatlantic, they also kind of get to sit back and relax a little bit and not be so tense with things. I got a lot of opportunities that normally you wouldn't be able to have on the cruises. But yeah, I'd say that's probably some of my most memorable slash embarrassing cruise stories.
How about you, Nick?
Well, okay. This
Most memorable, funniest, or most embarrassing cruise or port experience?
Okay. So I've never told this one before. And I was thinking about making a YouTube video on it, but you guys are hearing it here first. Colin, you might know a little bit about this or remember it. But this was back in 2022 on the Carnival Vista. I was with my whole entire family up on the Lido deck. And so on deck number 11, there are these seats right by the elevator bank. And we were sitting in those seats right by the elevator bank. So me and my family were just all chilling and talking. And there's this lady that's being super loud in the elevator bank. She's yelling, she's laughing. Clearly she's having a good time. But then she walks out, and me, with her being so loud, I kind of look towards her direction. And I make eye contact with her, which was the worst decision I could have possibly made. And then she looks at me and she's like, "Hey." I was like, "Hi." And so, I'm just trying to be nice, thinking that she might have recognized me from YouTube. And I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" And she yells back at me like on the top of her lungs, quote, "I'm so proud of you, baby." And then she runs towards me. She grabs me, kind of puts me in a chokehold and like grabs me out my chair and gives me the most slobbery kiss I've ever had. Not that was not the way I was expecting my first kiss to be, but and so I looked.
So she recognized you?
Well, she was clearly drunk, so I don't know if she just recognized me or if she just. I honestly don't know. But I looked at my family and they were all like kind of in shock. And I was like, "So do y'all know this lady?" Because normally my family knows a whole bunch of people, and especially when we're cruising from Galveston, like a bunch of people that we know are just constantly on the ship. And so I was like, do y'all know her? Does she know me from a long time ago? And they were like, "No, we thought you knew her." And I was like, "Well, nobody knows who this lady is. I don't know who this is." But yeah, no, that was definitely the most crazy experience I've ever had on a ship, for sure.
Well, that is memorable.
Yeah, for sure.
Memorable, funny, a bit embarrassing, all of the above.
Yeah, all of the above.
Finally, I mentioned an oddball question that doesn't have anything to do with cruising. So first of all, welcome to any of Colin and Nick's followers, family, and friends listening. We hope you have enjoyed what you have heard, and we'll come back to the Joy of Cruising podcast to check out other episodes. And also, please join the Joy of Cruising podcast Facebook group, or follow us on Instagram, or both. But let's have some fun. Share one thing that my listeners and your followers and family and friends, well, maybe not family, your followers and friends don't know about each of you.
Okay. Something that y'all don't know about me. I can hold a handstand for 45 seconds.
Wow. Well, I can hold a handstand for about 0.5 seconds. That's pretty impressive. That will probably serve you well when you get on the entertainment squad.
Yeah, I hope so.
How about you, Colin?
Wow, something that my family and friends don't know about.
It doesn't have to be family, but your followers and friends. We want to surprise them with something out of this podcast.
Well, I mean, I've been hitting the gym, like, but people know that now. But
is that something new for you?
I can tell you that people back from high school and my family, they wouldn't have expected me. I've been going twice a day. now, once in the morning, once in the evening. They wouldn't have expected me to see a weight room in my entire life, even a year. So,
Well,
you gotta get in pretty
I
good
would
at it.
again, I would think that also positions you well to be a cruise director or a member of the entertainment staff, because those folks work hard and
Yeah.
they all seem to be in great shape.
I always say that Nick and I were going to be the best looking on the cruises, and the ladies are trying to come after us, but we're to have to say no politely.
There you go.
I've always said we need to be the next versions of Matt Mitchum
No, literally. And Kendall Fire.
and Kendall.
There you go. There you go. Well, Colin, it is so good to get to meet you virtually. And Nick, good to see you again. As you both know, I wrote it in my book, so I can't delete it. I can't walk away from it. I'm invested based on what I wrote in my book on Nick becoming a cruise director. And so now I know you. And you work with Nick, and so I feel like I'm invested in you, Colin, becoming a cruise director as well. So you guys, don't let me down. I'm going to follow your careers over the next couple of years, and I look forward to the day that I have each of you on the Jerry Cruising podcast as Carnival cruise directors.
Yeah,
Yes,
we always say no
happen.
pressure with how many people we have watching us now.
So thank you both for coming on the Joy Cruising podcast. I know that you guys will be back, but in the meantime, all the best with Cruise with Colin and Nick. Best wishes on your journey to become cruise directors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as I like to say, I'll see you on the ocean.
Bye for now.
Bye for now. See y'all in motion.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99 can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.